Hello everybody. If you want to read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. Short Story 696, The Frame Job, Intermediate. Julian Thorpe, known to few as Jules, was an elegant man with a desperate bank balance. He wasn't a simple thief. He preferred elaborate schemes that took time, effort, and a certain degree of theatrical flair. He targeted the wealthy but lonely. His current mark was Mrs. Eleanor Vance, who lived in a luxurious flat near Kensington, filled with genuine antiques and, crucially, a lot of space. Jules's current plot was needlessly convoluted. He wasn't after the priceless 17th century painting hanging in her drawing room, but the intricate, empty gilded frame stored in her attic. Jules posed as Dr. Alistair Finch, a historical restorer working on a secret, government-funded project requiring an authentic 18th century piece of wood to stabilise a decaying national treasure. The frame, he claimed, was the perfect match. Mrs. Vance, delighted to be part of a secret history project, immediately agreed. The complication, however, arose when she insisted on paying Jules a substantial deposit, £5,000, to secure the transaction. "One must have proper assurances, Dr. Finch," she said, smiling warmly. Jules, whose original plan was simply to vanish with the frame, was now stuck. He had taken her money, and he had to return. 2 days later, Jules arrived back at the flat. He took the lift up, feeling awkward about his awkward lie. He expected a triumphant escape. He found Mrs. Vance standing next to the enormous frame, which was now hanging on the wall. Inside it, however, was not the famous painting, but a lurid modern canvas of a barking dog. "A gift for you, Dr. Finch," she said sweetly, handing him the empty frame. As Jules lifted the heavy frame, his foot brushed against something that fell from the bottom, a small, flashing GPS tracker. Simultaneously, he heard the faint sound of police sirens approaching the building. Jules, livid, realised the terrible truth. Mrs. Vance hadn't been his mark. He had been hers. She had used his ridiculous, elaborate story to frame him, quite literally, for the theft of the original masterpiece, which she had already removed and planned to claim on insurance. The deposit was proof of his intent. He was caught not by her cleverness, but by the sheer unnecessary complexity of his own foolish plan. He was still standing there, holding the empty, gilded frame, when the police finally arrived. Vocabulary notes: elaborate, adjective, definition, detailed and complicated in design or planning, often suggesting unnecessary complexity. Example: he preferred elaborate schemes that took time, effort, and a certain degree of theatrical flair. Jules's scheme was too complicated. Similar words: intricate, complex, detailed, convoluted. Example sentence: the wedding cake was so elaborate it took 3 days to construct. Mark, noun. Definition: the person who is targeted by a con artist, criminal, or scammer, the intended victim. Example: his current mark was Mrs. Eleanor Vance, who lived in a luxurious flat near Kensington. Mrs. Vance was Jules's target. Similar words: target, victim, pigeon, informal, quarry. Example sentence: the pickpocket chose his mark, an elderly man distracted by his phone, and moved in closer. Gilded, adjective, definition: covered thinly with gold leaf or gold paint, having a rich, impressive surface appearance, often hiding something less valuable. Example, he wasn't after the priceless 17th century painting, but the intricate, empty gilded frame stored in her attic. The frame looked gold, but was only painted. Similar words: gold-plated, gold-leafed, adorned, ornate. Example sentence: the antique mirror had a heavy gilded edge that shone brightly under the chandelier. Substantial, adjective, definition: of considerable importance, size or worth, large in amount or degree. Example, the complication arose when she insisted on paying Jules a substantial deposit, £5,000. The amount of money was very large. Similar words: significant, considerable, hefty, ample. Example sentence: the museum requires a substantial donation to reserve the exhibition space for private events. Intent, noun, definition: the purpose or goal that someone has in mind, the determination to do a specified thing. Example, the deposit was proof of his intent. The money proved that Jules intended to steal something. Similar words: intention, purpose, aim, objective, motive. Example sentence: his body language suggested hostile intent, so we decided to leave the area immediately. Story written by Gemini 2.5 Flash. Image created by Gemini 2.5 Flash. To read all the story's content in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a really spectacular story, a scheme that kind of imploded on itself.
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how, making things too complicated can backfire massively.
And how the intended victim, the mark, can actually turn the tables.
Exactly. We're talking about Julian Thorpe, or Jules. Now, this guy wasn't your average smash-and-grab burglar.
No, he liked flair.
He loved flair. Theatricality, elaborate schemes were his thing. Simple theft, beneath him, apparently.
Okay, so who was he targeting?
A Mrs. Eleanor Vance, Kensington resident, house full of genuine, very valuable antiques.
Right, so the obvious target would be, what, painting?
Okay.
Silver?
You'd think. There was a priceless 17th century painting in the drawing room, but that's not what Jules was after.
Okay, intriguing. What was he after then?
Get this. An intricate, old, gilded picture frame stored up in the attic and totally empty.
An empty frame? Why?
Well, that's where the elaborate part comes in. He needed a reason, a cover story, to even be asking about it.
So he invents one.
Oh, yeah. He shows up as Dr. Alistair Finch, a supposed historical restorer.
Dr. Finch needs an empty frame.
He claimed he needed wood from that specific frame, 18th century apparently, for some secret government restoration project.
Wow. That is elaborate. Needlessly complicated, really.
That's the dictionary definition, right? Detailed, complex, and frankly, unnecessary just to walk off with some old wood.
So he sets up this whole performance. But Mrs. Vance, she doesn't just play along.
Not at all. She doesn't act like the passive victim he expected. She puts the brakes on.
How so?
Instead of just, letting him have the frame for a few quid, she insists on doing things properly. She wants assurances.
Meaning?
Meaning a deposit. A substantial deposit, £5,000.
Ouch. For an empty frame he planned to basically steal anyway.
Exactly. And here's the fatal flaw. Jules, he's so caught up in being Dr. Finch, right? He reluctantly agrees. He takes the cash.
Okay, so why is that the killer mistake?
Because taking that money fundamentally changed things. It wasn't just talk anymore. It legally established his intent.
Intent, you mean?
His purpose, his goal. It created a documented obligation. He wasn't just some guy snooping around. He was now contractually bound, in a way, to return and finish this fake transaction.
So he had to come back, taking the money, Locked him in.
Pretty much. He comes back 2 days later, probably thinking, okay, quick swap, grab the frame, disappear.
But Mrs. Vance has changed the scene.
Completely. The huge, empty frame, it's now hanging right there on the main wall, prominently displayed.
Okay.
But inside it, no masterpiece. Instead, there's this, luridly modern painting. Bright colors, a barking dog, apparently.
A barking dog, seriously.
Seriously. It's almost comical. She's used his own ridiculous story as cover to move the real painting.
And Jules is just standing there looking at a barking dog in this massive frame he's supposed to be taking.
Right, so he lifts this ridiculously heavy thing off the wall, ready to finally make his escape.
Yeah.
Something small falls out, clatters on the carpet from inside the frame's molding.
Don't tell me.
A tiny plastic thing with a little flashing light.
A GPS tracker.
Bingo! And just about then, he starts to hear the sirens getting closer.
Oh, man. The penny drops.
Hard. He must have realized in that second he wasn't caught because he slipped up. He was caught because she used him.
She used his own complex story against him.
Perfectly. She'd already moved the actual masterpiece, probably planning a nice big insurance claim.
And Jules just handed her the perfect fall guy.
He was the fall guy, the whole Dr. Finch story, the deposit. It all pointed to him having a reason to be there, intending to take something.
That 5,000 pounds wasn't her security.
No, it was a proof. Proof of his intent, proof he was involved. He wrote the script for his own framing.
So his own need for this elaborate theatrical plan
was precisely what made him the ideal patsy for her much simpler, much more effective scheme. He provided the evidence against himself.
It's quite the reversal. The intricate plan designed to fool the simple Mark actually created the perfect setup for the Mark to exploit the planner's criminal intent.
Absolutely. His downfall wasn't a mistake in execution. It was the design itself, the over-engineering.
Which really makes you think, doesn't it? When you're pursuing any goal, really, how often does adding layers of complexity, maybe for show or just overthinking?
Yeah, how often does that just create more risk than it's worth? When maybe, the simpler path is actually the smarter one. It's a strong case for strategic simplicity.